Luka Doncic Mavericks face a 0-2 NBA Finals hold after a Game 2 defeat against the Celtics. And the question that we have, and Zach, the mic is yours, can the Mavs make it a series?
Yeah, Lil. So I think Game 2 was pretty frustrating from the Mavericks' perspective because it really felt like the game was up for grabs and they had their chances to win it, but they just couldn't take advantage. Now, I think the key play of the game was late in the fourth quarter. Dallas, they make a little bit of a push. They cut the lead to 5, which was the closest it's been in a while. And Derek White has that block on PJ Washington. Now, personally, I thought it was a foul. I thought Jaylen Brown pushed him in the back, but it wasn't called, and it really ended any chance and any hopes Dallas had of coming back. But that's not the reason the Mavericks lost the game. They just have to play better. You know, if Drew Holiday is outscoring Kyrie Irving, then this series is over. The Mavericks don't have a chance. The Mavericks need Kyrie Irving to be better than shooting 13 of 37 from the field and 0 of 8 from 3 in the first 2 games. It's really as simple as that. They just don't have enough firepower to compete with this Boston team if Kyrie is going to play like that. And really, the entire Mavericks team, not named Luka Doncic, has been pretty underwhelming. They shot 2 of 17 from 3 in Game 2. That's just not going to get it done. And they missed some wide open shots. No Maverick not named Luka Doncic has made more than 1 3 in this series. I'm not even sure how that's possible. Even Luka himself, I know he had a triple-double in Game 2, and he hasn't been the problem for the Mavericks, but he had 8 turnovers. Like, that's not going to get it done either, including one really bad one, a throwaway, late in the fourth quarter, too. They were down 6. I think in Dallas coming up for Games 3 and 4, the Mavericks supporting cast, they're going to be a little bit better, at least from 3, but Dallas needs a statement win or else they're done. Like, the series is over. It's weird because, like, I don't think Boston has played that great in these first 2 games. I just think Dallas has been terrible. And the key for Dallas, I think Luka Doncic and the whole Mavericks team in general, they need to find another gear. I think he needs to be similar to what Giannis Antetokounmpo was in the 2021 NBA Finals. If you remember in that series, the Bucks were down 2-0 to the Suns, just like Dallas did. They lost the first 2 games on the road. And then for the last 4 games of that series, all Bucks wins. Giannis averaged 37, 12, and 5. I think Luka Doncic needs to be on that level if Dallas has a chance here. And if they can't find another gear, specifically in Game 3, then yeah, this series is over.
I mean, it's going to be hard to get that. I mean, he's got it. You know, he got the assist, but it's going to be hard to continue keeping those assists when the guys are not making shots. Okay, that's one thing I want to point out there. But I'm talking about wide open shots, by the way. Now, I want to start off by giving Boston a lot of credit because I have been, defending them a lot here on the show. You know, they are very heavily scrutinized. And I thought that it was very unfair. A lot of people penalized them for things out of their control, like the schedule and an injury-riddled East, which led a easier path to the finals. And everybody was like, oh, my God, this guy was out, this guy was out, this guy was out. Fraudulent, right? And a lot of people I thought was penalizing their previous faults for things that were going on in the present, even though it wasn't going on in the present, if that makes sense. And then another thing, the famous line, they live and they die by the 3-point shot. And I think when you look at Game 2, that was not the case whatsoever. They actually only made 10 out of their 39 3-point attempts, okay? And also, they overcame Luka Doncic triple-double. Now, Zach, if you told me prior to Game 2, it didn't happen yet, okay? I'm Lil Shadamas, I am, okay? And you said, Lil, okay, the Celtics are going to miss all those 3-point shots. They're going to be 10 for 39, and Luka Doncic is going to have a triple-double. I would assume that the Mavericks will win that game, and they didn't win that game, and they still couldn't generate enough points to obviously outscore the Celtics at the end of the game and win the game. Now, you could flip the how can I say, what's the word I'm looking for? You could flip the narrative and be like, okay, Lil, well, they missed all these free throws. I believe Boston shot 19 for 20 at the free throw line, and the Mavericks shot 16 for 24, right? But I can flip that back to you and be like, well, that's a reoccurring theme with the Mavericks. throughout the regular season, at various points in the playoffs, them doing the little things and the easy things, which is make your free throws. Those are free points, okay? And sure, if they made it, it probably would have went to overtime, but they didn't make it. It happened to them, I believe, in a Thunder series where they missed a lot of free throws and they lost the game because of that. I forgot what game exactly, but I remember I was like, this series is over, and they had a lapse at the free throw line, cost them the game, made the
I
series
think
longer.
it was game 4, right?
I think it was one of those
In
games.
Dallas at home,
Yeah,
they had the chance to go up 3-1.
I believe so. I believe so. And it's funny because on the last show when we was predicting the finals, and salute to my guy Kenny, right? I gotta acknowledge my guy Kenny as I'm in my flow. Okay, 99 pod, let's go. You know, when we predicted this matchup, the finals, me and Zach, you wasn't on last week, unfortunately, but you're here today. That's what counts. And we predicted the finals. I said that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum cannot have a bad game together. But when I was watching the film, because I do rewatch the shows, I was like, you know what? You could flip that and be like, Luka and Kyrie have to have great games together. Okay, like Boston has leverage where they don't need both of these stars to go off. Well, if you're looking at the Mavs, because Celtics got a lot of depth, kind of. They got a lot of shooting, they got a lot of talent on that court. Luka and Kyrie is going to have to play great together, and Kyrie Irving has not been playing great. He hasn't been able to beat defenders off the dribble. He's been missing his shots, his spot up shots, wide open threes, and he gotta make his shots. So I think we could talk here, in the next lap if you want about potential adjustments that the Mavericks should make. However, I think the first adjustment is doing the little things that you need to do to win basketball games, which is if you're open and you're one of the open 3-point shooters, you get the ball, you knock down a shot. Number 2, make your free throws. Actually, that should be number 1. Make your free throws, knock down your shots, and your 2 stars, Luka, who's been playing well. I mean, he's been incredible. Don't get me wrong. I mean, he's been knocking down a lot of shots, and these are highly contested shots. The shot making been off the charts. Now, he did have a couple turnovers in game 2 that was a little bit iffy and put them in a damaging hole. But your guy, Kyrie, Mr. Robin, okay, got to stop robbing the Mavericks of an opportunity to make this a series.
Yeah, and the numbers, I don't know if you've seen this. Since Kyrie left the Celtics and he went to Brooklyn, he's like 0-12 against them straight up. He hasn't beaten the Celtics in a game since leaving Boston, and I do wonder if just mentally, like, is that affecting him? He has to get over that mental hurdle. He's doing a great job talking about it, how it's not affecting him. He's thankful for his time in Boston. He's happy to be in Dallas now, but Kyrie has to really pick it up. And in terms of adjustments, the first one that came to mind for me for Dallas was they have to push the ball a little bit more. I would like to see them play at a little bit of a faster pace. But I got to say, man, Joe Mazzulla has really impressed me in these playoffs with his game plans. I think his strategy of just single covering each of the Mavericks, letting Luka and Kyrie do whatever they want, but really focus on limiting PJ Washington and limiting Derek Jones and limiting Lively and Gafford. I think that's worked to perfection. I also think Boston has done a really good job of limiting Dallas's corner threes throughout the first few rounds of these playoffs. That has been the Mavs kill shot, right? That PJ Washington deadly corner three. And Boston has really done a great job limiting them. But I just think Dallas, they straight up need their supporting cast to be better, especially Kyrie. Kyrie, going into this series, it was, people were talking about Luka and Kyrie as maybe the best backcourt of all time. Kyrie isn't supposed to be a member of the Mavs supporting cast. He's supposed to be a member of that star duo with Doncic, and he just hasn't held up his part of the bargain. And I do agree with your point on Boston being able to afford Tatum, especially playing this poorly, because that starting 5 they got, they just have no weaknesses, man. Each of those 5 players, Brown, Tatum, White, Porzingis, Horford, all those guys, Holiday, they've just been playing great, have no weaknesses. And what a championship team does is you'll have certain games where each one of those guys are stepping up. And that's exactly what Boston's been doing so far. And they're 2 wins away from a championship.
Yeah, and I think going back to Kyrie Irving, if he can, be that threat that he was throughout the duration of the playoffs prior to the finals, then you can't really guard him one-on-one. Now you got to send help. That's going to leave the shooters more open. So I think it's about commanding that defensive attention from Boston that's going to allow, things to open up for the Mavericks as a whole. And I think for me, what's different about the Mavericks defensively, right? Because the reason why the Mavericks are here is because at the deadline, they got longer, more athletic, and bigger. And defensively, they have been able to, you could say, protect the paint, because of those guys like Derrick Jones and Lively and Gafford. And that's been their motto. It's almost like it mirrors what Boston does, right? Because with Boston, they play this 5-out, offense where they're shooting a bunch of threes and they're playing the math. They following the math, they following the percentages. But it's like with the Mavericks, it's the total opposite. They played the percentages when it came to allowing open 3-point shots and forcing, the opposing team to make the 3-point shot. So they protect the paint, and then you have to dish it out, and then we'll force Nickeil Alexander, who's not a good 3-point shooter, to make that shot. We'll force the dude from OKC, Josh Giddey, to make that shot. He's not a good 3-point shooter. So we'll force, Jaden McDaniels to get hot. He had got hot one game, and that was that. They allowed him to get hot, and they focus on protecting the paint. So I think in some ways the polar opposite, where the Celtics, they want to jack up threes, they want to follow the math, and the Mavericks, they want to play the math, the percentages when it comes to taking a shot that really is low percentage compared to getting easy looks at the rim. You're shooting a three, that's a low percentage. So that's what the Mavericks has been able to do. However, I think you got to give credit to Boston for being able to get past defenders off the dribble, put a lot of pressure on the Mavericks defense and get into the rack and finding ways to generate offense. A lot of what Drew Holiday did in game 2 was close to the rim. I mean, you look at the numbers, Boston was 15 for 15 in game 1 in the restricted area. And in game 2, they were 20 for 27 in game 2. Okay, so, that's how it is. And the Mavericks are going to have to make adjustments. And we could talk about that even further. But like I said, it's going to be hard to make any adjustments when you're not doing the little things right, the basic things like making free throws, and you start playing well, and your shooters knocking open shots when they're afforded to them.
Right. Like the adjustment for Dallas is shoot better than 2 of 17 from 3 and make your free throws. Like, it all starts there.
And I think the Mavericks could use that third shot creator since Kyrie Irving is not playing well, or you're going to require Kyrie Irving to play well throughout the rest of the finals. They could benefit from another shot creator, and they don't have one. That one guy that they probably could have had is unplayable right now, and that's Tim Hardaway Jr. You're talking about a guy at one point early in the year that was averaging 19 points per game, and now he's unplayable. That's a guy that would have been able to create his own shot a little bit and give Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic some assistance. But right now, when you got him throwing up medicine balls, I mean, you got to send him back. And it is unfortunate because when you look at the playoffs and you see the 76ers, right, Buddy Hield at one point was unplayable. They threw in Buddy Hield, and he goes off, shooting that one game. I think it was game
6. Game
6.
six.
Game 6. It might have been game 6 where he went off shooting the basketball. And then with the Knicks, you had Alec Burke, who was unplayable. Injuries played his toll. He had to come in the game, and he gets hot for a couple games as well. So I'm not saying that they should continue to play Tim Hardaway Jr. I'm not the coach here. Jason Kidd got to make that decision, but it will be good to get a spark from him offensively that will help out Luka Doncic, who's in desperate need of help. Help! Okay? He needs help, okay?
Please like and subscribe for all the up-to-date content. You've been slinging shows left and right, slinging content left and right. Please don't miss anything. If you do, like, subscribe, leave a comment, or leave a question, something you may want to answer, something you may have. All ideas are great ideas. Nothing's a dumb question.